Kai Pono Solutions is a 3-basin system. It fits directly in the curb and gutter line before the storm drain, and then filters water in a sequence. It drops into these basins, filters water up, down through our basins, discharges directly into the storm drain. It just plugs into the storm drain at the bottom, and discharges clean water. So again, we're not blocking, flooding, or clogging the existing storm drain. We're not taping anything over the front of the storm drain. We're not putting anything inside of it. So you don't have that potential to actually block, flood, clog, have any kind of safety hazard in the city. We sit pretty flush with the curb and gutter line at the street. There's grates over the top of it. You can access it super easily. And it's just a really low spatial footprint. And that's kind of been our big differentiator as well when it comes to, competition on the market.
Hey there, welcome to the Stormwater World podcast. Shout out to our parent company, Digital Stormwater. We're out there making an impact in stormwater one click at a time. We put more stormwater people in front of your stormwater products and services. How we get there is totally up to you. Some of the services that we offer are social media management, Google, LinkedIn, and Meta ads, SEO and content creation, website builds and updates, AI automations, consulting, and a lot more. So the question is who do you know that needs our help? If you're on YouTube, you can click on that QR code to learn more, or you can give us a call at 844-451-2534, or you can visit us at digitalstormwater.com and schedule a call with us today. I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening to this podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you. Let's get back to the episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the Stormwater World podcast. I'm excited today to have Navy and Dan McKee with Kai Pono Solutions on. As soon as I saw, I don't even know what I saw. Maybe I think did I see a post on LinkedIn or something? And I just reached out or whatever. Yeah, I saw your post on LinkedIn, and I was like, wait, what are we doing on, the island? I haven't been in, I just turned 50. I haven't been in Hawaii since, for 40 years. I've got family there. My mom grew up in Hawaii, so it just immediately, it grabbed my attention, and I was like, oh, hey, what do you guys, what's up with this? What's going on? Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate y'all taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So as we do here, and I don't know those out there that may watch the Sean Ryan show, I used to worry about being kind of like monotone when I talked on these podcasts when I spoke. And then I started watching these other podcasts, and he just literally goes, almost every episode, he goes, oh, you know how we do it here. I've got to read your bio. So that's what I'm gonna do. So that's my segue for today. So if you haven't watched Sean Ryan show, you can check it out just for that. But you've watched him? Okay, cool. See.
Oh yeah.
So all right, that's awesome. All right, so here, let me go here. So Navy McKee and Dan McKee, co-founders of Kai Pono Solutions. Dan raised Navy in Hawaii, where the ocean was more than just a backdrop. It was a way of life. But growing up surrounded by that natural beauty, Navy also saw the devastating impact of polluted runoff on her local beaches, and it lit a fire in her to protect what she loved most. With Dan's 35 plus years of experience in infrastructure, flood control, and stormwater construction, and Navy's passion for clean water and innovation, they teamed up to build something big. Together, they launched Kai Pono Solutions, combining their love for the ocean with serious business and engineering know-how to develop a cutting-edge pre-treatment and stormwater filtration system. Sweet. Welcome again to the podcast. Where do you guys want to start? Who wants to take the first leg of this?
Navy takes the wheel.
No, I think you take the wheel. You tell the story of how it came about.
Yeah, let's do the story. Let's do the history.
All right, I can tell you how it started. So Navy went off to college in San Diego to be a business person. She was given quite a few tasks. Everything she was trying to tackle, she wanted to do it, but she didn't love it. So she finally had a big project come up. And how'd that go, Navy? You came to me and said, I have to do something big for a project. What can I do?
Well, so I wanted to start a company initially. I'm a very entrepreneurial person. And I was starting companies kind of in these different industries that weren't really appealing to me, some in beauty, some in things like that, just more of trendy businesses. And I was burning out due to a lack of passion, as a bunch of entrepreneurs will say. And I talked to a mentor, and I wanted to start something. I knew I had to work for myself. I'm pretty stubborn. As you can see, I'm the boss of my dad now. So that's how that goes.
Hey, shots,
The
shots
tables
fired.
have turned.
Very easy. Yeah, tables have turned. But I definitely wanted to start something. And so I knew I had to do something I was passionate about. And so I had a lot of business mentors tell me, like, do something big, stop thinking small, stop thinking trendy, like, do something big and impactful. So again, I grew up in Hawaii, spent every single day of my life in the ocean. And I just realized I wanted to do something around ocean conservation. So I approached my dad about it and I was like, hey, I want to do something for ocean conservation. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Not thinking he really had anything in the pipeline. And he had actually shared with me a design that he had created around 25 plus years ago, that was just sitting in a box. So, Dad, you can talk about kind of how you came up with that design in the first place and how it landed in my lap to now what it is.
Yeah, I was a young entrepreneur myself, not nearly as good as Navy. I had a small business I had started. I had actually started my career in structural concrete, and I did a lot of flood control work, from big to small. You name it, I've done all of it. And I branched off from doing that. I got into doing um, stormwater catch basins. Became my company that I ended up doing, and I did a lot of them. But in the midst of all of it, of whether I was working for somebody or myself, there would always be the SWPs or the BMPs for the projects where we had to protect the storm drain inlets. And every single time we would set out these big black socks, set them in front of the hole, and walk away. And then it would rain. And then I would get called out to my job site project because the streets were flooding. Um, I had to relieve the water that was flooding the streets. So all that work that I did to protect the catch basin, I would have to remove and let all that water go at one time. Which so everything we were holding back actually just charged through the drains. And I always just thought this is silly. Like this is basically what they were doing was just trying to cover their butts and show a good stitch effort to be compliant. Or we would get done with the project and we would pull the socks away, and then we'd come through with brooms and water hoses and wash everything down the storm drain. So I had came up with an idea of how to capture everything ahead of the storm drain that could be inserted, whether it's new construction uh, or an existing structure. I found what I thought would work. And I had actually talked to a few people. I talked to a few civil engineers, and they actually loved it. And but a lot of the guys would say, "Yeah, just make a full size bench model and bring it to our office, and we'll check it out." And I was raising a young family. I was running a big portion of a company at a very young age. I was just too tied up. I just didn't have time to do that on the side, so I just never did it. But I had all the drawings, all the stuff, and I used to have this plastic box that I would carry with me. It had all my jobs in it, all my paperwork, and it also had this in it, my drawings. So that thing kind of got put on the shelf, and it sat there for 25 years, but it followed me anywhere I went. I kept that box. Fast forward, Navy gets her project. She wants to do something big. We talked. I said, let's change how the water in the world works. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So I said, "Do you know what a storm drain is?" She says, "No, I have no idea what a storm drain is." So I go break out some old drawings I have and I show her what a storm drain is, and then I show her the concept of what I drew, and she has no idea what she's looking at, not a clue. So I said, "Let's go for a walk." So we walk up and down the street, and I'm opening manhole lids and uh, going down
Yeah,
inside catch basins, showing her how it works.
and you still
And
had a
she's like,
chance there. You could have just ran right there when he started popping manhole
"I
lids.
know
You could have been
she
like,
should have."
Yeah, should have.
the beauty stuff, the fitness, the
I know
fashion, it
it's
all
sounding a
just
lot more
smells.
appealing these days, huh?
It definitely smells better too. Like we could have definitely done.
She's pretty
But
smart, but she didn't
you,
outrun that one.
you had, yeah, yeah. You have to be pretty stubborn. I'm just gonna say, you're like, oh yeah, cool. This is super awesome. Pop
Right?
another
Yeah.
manhole.
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
once I explained to her how our water works, that everything that goes into a storm drain winds up in a body of water, whether it's an ocean, a lake, a river, a stream. It's going to find a water table, whatever it is. Water is going to find the existing surrounding waters. So she fell in love with it right there. She's like, yes. So that's where it branched out. She brought a couple engineers on, and they put a turbocharger on the device that I had developed, and then they really made it incredible. Mine was simple and it would work, but what they've done to it, it's incredible. So
Yeah, you want to take over there, Navy, and kind of explain the product at this point? I think we've kind of teased people enough. Those that are in the know will kind of have pieced a little, probably parts of it in their mind together. But
Yeah. Well, I think the cool thing
I'm
about
looking
our
at your
product.
website right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So
the cool thing about our product is nobody is really doing what we're doing. I mean, in my opinion, and from what I've seen at trade shows, we're the only ones who are filtering water at the curb and gutter line and not inside of the storm drain. And so that's kind of a big, a big thing for us. And we actually attended the Casca show last year. And people would come to our table and they'd be like, "Oh, what are you working on?" We're like, "Oh, trash capture and sediment pretreatment." And they're like, "Oh, okay, got it. Another trash capture device." And we're like, "No, no, let us show you how it works." And then we'd show
yeah,
them and they're like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. Like we haven't seen anybody do this yet." So basically, Kai Pono Solutions is a 3 basin system. It fits directly in the curb and gutter line before the storm drain, and then filters water in a sequence. It drops into these basins, filters water up, down through our basins, discharges directly into the storm drain. It just plugs into the storm drain at the bottom, um, and discharges clean water. So again, we're not blocking, flooding, or clogging the existing storm drain. We're not taping anything over the front of the storm drain. We're not putting anything inside of it. So you don't have that potential to actually block, flood, clog, have any kind of safety hazard in the city. We sit pretty flush with the curb and gutter line at the street. There's grates over the top of it. You can access it super easily. And it's just a really low spatial footprint. And that's kind of been our big differentiator as well when it comes to, competition on the market. So when we attended that Casca show, we entered ourselves just as a trash capture device. We got certified by the California State Water Board, so we're an official trash capture device to be used for that. And we showed up at the conference and we're telling everybody like, "Hey, we're a certified trash capture device." And
yeah,
we had a few people go, "Oh, no, 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 you're doing sediment pretreatment for us." So at the conference, we actually got written into a contract for sediment pretreatment, which we were like, "Okay, cool. Like, I guess we're doing sediment pretreatment now." And as
right,
we've shifted
right.
our marketing and kind of shifted our purpose towards sediment pretreatment, we've had a crazy amount of success, because people are really interested in using it for sediment pretreatment for biofiltration, and just even like some larger devices. So that's kind of where our big specialty is at the moment, is removing that TSS, trash, things like that. But we're also well equipped to take filters as well. So we're using off the product or off the shelf, filter purchases from
Oh yeah.
existing companies, third party tested. You can pop them into our system and we can do filtration as well. So it's really the best of both worlds. Again, really small spatial footprint, around 1.1 cubic yards of excavation in total for a 3 basin system. So you're in pretty shallow, pretty small spatial footprint. Again, just easy to access, maintenance, everything like that.
Yeah, let me see, we'll give a little bonus to our YouTube videos. Let me see if I can share. If I can share your Vimeo video you have on your website,
Yeah,
this illustration. It's basically what you just said, but I think it's worth uh resharing it with
totally
everybody.
agree. Yeah, 100%. I didn't even know we
So
could do that.
especially those that are listening to audio only. Let me see what I can do here.
Yeah. So here we are at, kind of bird's eye level. You can see the grates. We have these 3 basin systems dropped directly into the curb and gutter line. Water falls into this first basin here. This is where we capture a lot of our heavy solids. Think, TSS, rocks, leaves, sticks, things like that. And then these other 2 basins, we usually equipped with filters. You can put filters in them, or you can just use 5 millimeter screens on them, which is compliant with the California State, Water Board trash capture certification. So you're able to use any kind of filters you want. You can use, we use metallomats, which are really interesting. They're used in aquariums quite often. And that's how we're kind of capturing the smaller things, think like microplastics, little cigarette butts, leaves, sticks, sediments. All those are getting trapped in these metallomats. And then we can use anything like polypropylene for, petroleum products, or, activated carbon, biochar, things like that. Anything is pretty much well equipped to shove into our device, which has been a big success for us.
Yeah, and so we'll link that video. I saw the share buttons available. We'll link that video in the show notes for all you audio people out there and for the YouTube people. It was a very good video. It's a great illustration of
Thank
how your product
you.
works.
So I would
It's
say something is
yeah.
Navy was incorrect on one part when she says we don't put anything in the storm drain. She's wrong. We do put one thing in there: clean water.
Oh, here we
Yes,
go.
that's true.
Here we go.
I just want to make that clear. We put it
Yes,
in clean.
clean water,
We
my
put
bad.
in clean
Hey,
water.
yeah, you better. Otherwise, somebody,
That's
some
right.
poor dude's gonna be out there,
That's right. That's
because all
right.
that water's gonna be in the street, right?
Right?
Um, how long? When did it? So the initial design was 25 years ago. You've got a team over here. I've never heard of you. Which I mean, not that I know everybody, but I know a lot of people in the industry. How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so the turbocharge, I guess, when I took over with the engineers happened in 2020. So we've been doing a lot of testing, R&D, manufacturing, just all the goods over the past, 5 years. It was something really special about our team, I would say too, is that we all kind of started out of college. And so we all just, have had full-time jobs and everything. So we've been taking our time, really being intentional with what we're doing, bringing in third parties to help us verify. And so that's kind of been the last 5 years. Also, like the money component too. We've raised money through college pitch competitions and things like that. And that's kind of how we've made ourselves to this point now. So we
Yes,
really,
I want to
really,
see. No, no, like, sorry, I gotta interrupt you right there because, like, you're the only people that I know, like, that have a website. So I live in a lot of different worlds as far as, we've got our own marketing company, we've got this podcast, and, the stormwater aspect of it. But when you go to their website, and I don't want you to lose your train of thought, but it says, where's it at? It says you guys are a startup, like this startup, right? And I'm like, "Oh, nobody called it." She's gotta be in California or something, a savvy young startup making things up. There it is, San Diego. She even calls it out on the website, San Diego,
I
California.
know. Well,
I'm
it's
like
it's it's been
I'm like,
interesting. Like, I
"Shut
mean,
up." I'm like, "Oh, you got funding rounds, and so you've had fu you trying to get." So I need to see a stormwater company on YC Combinator, man. Like, you gotta get it,
I know
we need
that's
to
what
get
we're
in there.
heading towards. And that's, I mean, from
So
the start, that's been part of kind of our mission is we really want to make it different than what everybody else is doing in stormwater. Like we want to make stormwater cool. I mean, no offense, everybody listening here, but stormwater is
I
like
say
not
it all
something
the time. No, you're
people don't
good.
really
You're
talk
fine.
about it.
You're
Yeah.
good.
So
Yeah. No, it's not
even
cool.
just from the
It's
start, like if we want to get weird marketing and branding, but like I've told myself, like I want the company to look cool. I want our Instagram to be engaging to people who don't care about stormwater, or who don't even know what it is. So there's a really cool company in the ocean space called Coral Gardeners, and they have the coolest Instagram. They do really scientific stuff, but I follow them just because I love their content and what they put
yeah.
out. So that's
Well,
kind of like a model that
your Instagram reels have roaches running out of a manhole
yeah,
cover.
like
No,
we don't
kidding.
wanna be another boring stormwater company. We really wanna shake it up in the
Right.
marketing space and, bring
No.
something out that's cool, and then also have a product that works. So, in the past, that's kind of what we've been working on is just forming the actual roots of our company, developing our team, again, raising money through startup competitions, and you go to these startup competitions and people are like, "Stormwater? What are you talking about? We've never had a company or a startup around stormwater," and I feel like it's because
Yeah.
yeah,
Waiting
I
for
mean,
you to
I
jump on
feel like
that.
I may
Like,
be one of the
what?
younger ones in the space doing something in
Oh
stormwater.
yeah,
So
we gotta get you on Twitter. We gotta start tagging Andreessen.
exactly.
We gotta start tagging Mark
You can
Andreessen. Get
hire
him
me
to
for your marketing needs. How about that?
just like, yeah. We gotta get on there and start doing all that.
Right.
Just so you could, yeah, just lift up the whole industry while you're at it there, Navy.
Yeah.
And don't let her, hey folks, don't let her say, oh, she's trying to do like, it's not cheeky marketing. So Kai Pono, it's good ocean, right? Good ocean, right? So
Yes.
there's
Yes,
some,
it's yeah,
I,
righteous sea.
Righteous
Yeah.
Sea. Okay, good ocean, righteous sea. I did some googling. It's almost like I try to prepare for my podcast episodes now. I used to try to wing it. Episodes, 1 through 10, we were winging it. Now I try to like actually do some research, right? And I looked up Kai Pono, and so I was like, I wonder which one it is. And so there's some different variations. So Righteous Sea, is that kind
Righteous
of
sea,
what
yeah.
you landed on? So yeah,
Yep. Well,
so
that's yeah, that's the direct translation.
there's some thoughts going into. to all of it. Yeah, it wouldn't. It gave me multiple stuff when I started looking it up. It was like, oh, what is it? Good ocean, righteous sea. And I was like, all right, cool, righteous sea. That's awesome. Righteous water. Yeah, nice. All right, so I totally took you away. You were talking about you were taking us through the timeline, right, of 2020. Then you guys started getting some startup cash to fund. I would assume a lot of your R&D.
Yep.
And then are you
Yeah.
guys
So
just projects in Hawaii and California, or are you guys expanded out past that?
yeah, I mean, we're now able to be anywhere. So, I mean, I'll tell you kind of about the struggles of entering the stormwater industry.
Oh, yeah, yes, we should
So
absolutely talk about that because nobody knows those.
yeah, yeah,
What
right.
what were yours specifically? Because we like yeah, we like to have you cry on our shoulder, all of us in the
Well, it's
stormwater world.
interesting because I feel like unless you're an existing company, then or an existing it's I understand why people don't start companies in the stormwater industry. Let's just put it that way. It's really hard to break into. You've got to earn trust with the entire industry, even though it is a quite small industry. You've got to earn trust with everybody. You've got to meet these regulatory, you know, actions that once existed or maybe don't exist anymore, but people still think they exist, or somebody wrote them, nobody knows who wrote it and how you get certified, but somehow you have to get certified by someone who
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
yeah.
We actually just had that happen. We were working with, a state and they're like, hey, you need to go through this program. They send us their whole handbook. They send us the program. I look into it and the program hasn't been funded since 2014. And I'm like, how are we supposed to get certified for this if nobody's even worked on it since 2014? There's nobody even certifying them anymore. So our biggest thing has been, getting these certifications that exist or don't exist, that some people care about and some people don't care about. And just finding out where to put your time, like some people care about tape certification and some people don't. And some, I mean, for California, it was great because we had a really good good set of rules to follow. The California State Water Board trash capture certification. We were back and forth with the guy. We knew who was in charge of it, how to get certified. So that was like, it took us a while to get that
Right.
certification as
But
well.
but at least you knew the hoops that you were gonna have to jump
But we
through.
knew that we were going to have to go through
Yeah,
some hoops and we knew who we could
yeah,
contact to go through
yeah.
those hoops. So
Right,
I
right,
guess that's like been our biggest struggle. And then, just gaining trust in the industry. Everybody wants to be first to be second. So we installed our pilot on the island of Maui. And so now we're focusing on installs everywhere else. We actually got a contract through Casca, which was really cool. We went to the trade show and he wrote us into the plans at the trade show. For sediment pretreatment. And I was like, wow, what a cool experience. I kind of told myself,
yeah,
if we go to this trade show and everyone looks at us and they're like, what is this? Nobody's going to use this. No one's interested, then we really have to reevaluate what we're doing. Like, is the stormwater industry the right application for this? Are we in the right spot? We get there and it was like quite the opposite. We had so much
right.
positive feedback. Again, got written into a contract at the show, at our trade show booth that looks like a science fair booth because we're still early. And so we're really just going through all those startup things. But now,
Go
we're
back
working
to where to put your time and energy, right? Like,
totally. Yeah. I'm like, I
we
don't have
just
time
I
to
was like,
be.
hey guys, everybody, the
Yeah,
conference
we
conference
exist.
is the conference is tomorrow. What are we gonna do? Everyone's like,
Yeah, they're like, "Who invited the science fair
yeah,
people?"
sure,
But, I mean,
I'm
it
sure.
got us that's just proof that the biggest booth isn't always gonna get the most attention. We had some good attention, which is good.
That's good.
So, yeah, we have a lot of value in what we're doing, and I think that people really noticed that at that trade show, that they were able to kinda grasp what we were doing, and it's so nice to talk to people in person. We have a little mini model. It's like the size of, like, you could put a Barbie over it. It's a really small mini
Yep.
model that we put on our table, and we can demonstrate with it and everything. So, our actual basins are around 3 feet long. So your entire system's around 9 feet long, around 12 inches deep. So kind of large to bring to a trade show, but we're working on it.
And and looking at this case study, I see a lot because are you guys doing custom stuff too then though? Because there's just always so many different types of catch basins
Yeah.
and
Our device does have the
right,
ability to be custom. So, again, when we kind of entered the market, we were like, okay, three basin system. That's, our standard basic system, but they're like puzzle pieces. They're kind of like Legos for engineers, which is kind of cool. So you can add as many of these basins in a row as you want to. So we have one person who is interested in doing an industrial project up in LA. And he was like, yeah, we have around X amount of linear feet that we need to cover. Like, can we just cover it with basins? And we're like, yeah, like that's like 33 basins in a row. So people are just kind of, using them like Lego pieces to cover what they need, which is really, really cool because if you think about it, again, there's not a ton of modular systems on the market that are that small and able to kind of cover ground like that. So that's another really big benefit of ours is you can add as many as you want to. They can plug into parking lot models. It doesn't have to be just a curb and gutter line. You can plug into parking lot storm drains, just cover all four sides of the storm drain with our product. So it's really modular and you can pretty much put it wherever there's a flow of water.
Yeah, it's pretty. And with the 3 compartments, have you guys ever talked or had anybody want to utilize any kind of flocculant if they were doing a long enough run to where the flocculant would have time to also, um, change particle size and then you could pull it out with some of the. It'd be easier for the filter media to work or whatever. Have you guys ever had anybody approach?
Yeah, and again, that's a custom part of the device if you really want. We're pretty much well equipped to take any kind of filtration media. So say you're in an area where it's just heavy petroleum product on your property site. You can just line this thing with, polypropylene filters if you need to remove all the petroleum. Or if you're in an area where there's a ton of metals coming off the property site, you can use just, metal filters or activated carbon, biochar, anything like that. So you can plug and play these filters. You can put whatever you want in them, which is the cool thing. So they're pretty custom to site specific contaminants. Something that we really want to work on for the future is data capture and being able to kind of understand where contaminants are coming from, and to help those think about the 303D lists and all of the people who are on TMDLs and things like that, being able to help those people get out of their TMDLs by understanding what's going through their property sites and being able to prove like, hey, we actually don't discharge lead off of our property site. It's the guy next door who's doing that. So working on some things like that as well for the future of R&D, and just being this all-encompassing device that can help people understand flow rates, contaminants, maintenance cycles, things like that.
I mean, I don't really see anybody doing it. Yeah, so I mean, I think we talked around it, or maybe we alluded to some of it, but like I'm looking at this, and I don't know of anybody else that's really doing it like this. So I mean, if you were to have to say like these are our specific competitors, or not necessarily name names, but like the generalization around trash capture or pre-treatment, like what you do, what is your what specifically differentiates you, in that 30
Yeah,
second
I could.
startup pitch deck,
Well,
because
I
we
can
talked
talk.
about a lot of different stuff, but let's
Yeah.
just really talk about specific things for people out there. Well, wait, what are they? Yeah, yeah. Like,
I'll
are they
start it off,
pre-treatment?
Dad.
Are they what?
You
But like,
can finish it off. Yeah, I'll start it off. You can finish it off. So basically, if you think about the stormwater world at the moment, there are the really, really high impact devices. So think of those large underground tanks.
sure.
I believe obviously those are needed. They're really good for high filtration rates, just high excavation, high spatial footprint, really high cost. And then you have the low impact
Right,
devices, which are,
right.
sometimes very low cost, but they sit inside of your storm drain and they block, flood, clog, collapse, and flood your city, which we actually know a municipal partner who that happened to recently. And so we're kind of carving out this middle ground here. So we want to be low impact, not take a super high spatial footprint, but we also want to have an affordable cost, where you're not having to give up your life savings to protect the water. So I think that's something again that comes from our background is having a love for the water and having a love for the ocean and wanting to make it accessible to people to purchase these products. So with that being said, that is kind of how we lie on the spectrum in terms of high impact and low impact. I would say we're kind of like a mid impact device, mid cost, low spatial footprint. And we're actually when we came into the field, I thought, we're really going to have to watch out for these biofiltration guys. Like they're competitors. Like I'm really thinking that these high impact devices are competitors to ours. And then when we went to Casca, I was like, oh no, 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 those are not competitors. Those are partners. We're actually doing sediment pre-treatment for all of those larger devices and expanding their lifespans. So we're actually
Yep.
really great partners, and that's something that we want to focus on for the future is actually partnering with those larger devices to do sediment pre-treatment. But I think the cool thing about taking, the startup approach to the stormwater world is that we were forced into customer interviews, problem interviews, solution interviews, understanding what people were struggling with. And I noticed that whenever you say maintenance, people start sprinting the other way, like
Yeah,
sprinting. Like
yeah, they
maintenance
do.
is the
So it's a
worst
dirty.
thing
It's a
you can
dirty
say in the
word.
stormwater world.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the
and
first
it,
question.
yeah,
So,
it is,
for
and
us,
it
we're like,
never
"N
ever get kicked down the road.
yes,
Everybody
yes."
kicks down the road. Like we
So
don't do
we,
it.
for us, maintenance was really important. We were like, we really want to make sure maintenance is one, easy. It has to be done. Maintenance has to be done on everything. Again, my dad says this to me every day. You maintain your body, you maintain your car, you maintain your garden, you maintain everything you maintain so it works. And so for us, I don't like to promote no maintenance because again, we're very pro maintenance. But if you don't maintain our device a single day in your life, it's not going to flood your city. But on the other hand, it's not going to work as well as it would if you were maintaining it constantly. And so I shouldn't say constantly, as suggested. And so basically that's why we wanted to make sure you could access it from the street level and use something like a shop vac because a lot of competitors, really they require a large suck truck or things like that. And we want to make it really easy for public works to go out and just shop vac it out, be done with it, put the grates over the top, and you're good to go. So again, really big differentiator for us is the maintenance component.
Well, that's a beautiful thing about what you're saying about the future. Real-time data solves a lot of those problems because you'll be
Mhm.
able to see the reduction in, the quality or the reduction in flow rate, or there would be something that changed to where you would know that it needs to be maintained. So I think
Well,
that's a great, that's a great part
yeah,
of. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes from big data, but just from a blocking and tackling
yeah,
standpoint, if you can tell me when I need to be, if you can give me an oil
yeah,
change light, at least now it's on me.
100%.
Yeah, I was thinking that I just hadn't said it, but I was yeah, I've almost said it about 3 times. Like, "What?" Oh my gosh. Uh, yeah, I agree, 1,000%. But, I mean, and it's a sales cycle. On top of that, the sales cycle, which you were kinda mentioning earlier, is the thing. You get in and it's just the wheels move really, really slow,
Mhm.
and so here you are with your pitch deck going and being like, "No, no, you don't understand. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine 60 months from
Right.
now. I
Yeah.
promise. 60, 72 months from now, we're gonna be gold."
Right, right. And it's
Every
really interesting to
yeah,
me, like, from a business perspective, like, we're going to investors and things like this, and investors are like, "Yeah, well, we'd rather invest in an app." And I'm like, the only way you're gonna make tangible change is through a product, a hardware product, and it's just crazy that the business world is really so focused on, quick return, which understand it's business, but, it's really interesting that, these people claim to wanna save the world and then invest in apps instead. So, that's something that we've kind of been noticing as a trend in the business space, but, I mean, it's a component to our hardware, that is making physical, tangible
right.
change.
Right, one goes with the other, and so they need
Yeah.
to see the big you guys gotta keep selling them on the big vision. What did we miss, y'all? I think this has been fantastic, but I don't wanna miss anything. If there's any sound bites you guys wanna put out there about Kai Pono and or the future or the
Yeah.
past or your learning curve, anything you wanna share about,
Yeah.
that we might have missed today,
So, I
go
mean,
ahead.
moving forward, I mean, our biggest thing is, learning to meet people in the industry. It's a small industry. So, any connections who are interested in just talking, we don't want to sell you anything. We just want to be your friends and understand more people in the space. I promise I won't give you a whole pitch on why you should buy our product, which you should. But, but I
Right.
don't. That's another thing I haven't wanted to do with the company is be salesy and be upfront and be like so in people's faces about it. I want people to want the product because they understand it and they love it and they want to use it. So again, it's not something like that. But beyond that, our next steps are kind of, working with people who I once thought were competitors who are clearly not competitors and are partners. So working with, the people who do the large underground filtration tanks or biofiltration, anywhere we can do sediment pretreatment or trash capture or any kind of pre-treatment in general. Like I said, we can do filters as well, chemical filtration, things like that. And so anybody who's really just interested, and if there's people looking for new opportunities in stormwater and who are wanting to join either a sales team or even, just be a part of our team in general or support us, we're always
Just hang
looking to
out, hang out on
meet new
it. Yeah.
people and yeah, and join us. So
Well, I think you're in the right industry to be able to promote, to approach it from that educational aspect, like you're saying, of not wanting to. It's very hard in this industry to be pushy on sales. I mean,
right.
I don't know. I guess there's, I don't know. I guess there's people out there, reps out. I don't know how they could do it. There's just so
Yeah.
many. there's so many stakeholders to every purchase. It seems like, I mean, you gotta take it, back to the, this is why this works, and this is why you need it, and this is, again, that
100%.
educational approach. But and I don't normally, and I don't know what I told you in our pre emails or whatever. I don't normally don't curveball people. This is like a very easygoing podcast, but I think you can handle it. So I'm curveball you real quick because I'm looking at this and have you had offers to buy the company yet? And are you, so this is a true believer. This is true
Yeah.
believer time. Have you had
Yeah.
offers to buy the company yet? Okay, and you said no. So
No, not
congratulations.
yet. No.
Oh, you
We would
have not, but
we haven't. No. I mean, I would like that in the future.
yeah.
I think
Would
it
you
like
would you would you sell is the next question. Would you sell? Would you sell your baby that you
oh,
created? See,
I mean,
that's
it
the
just depends. I mean, it
right.
depends. It would have to be with the right people, and here's why. I'll tell you why. And I do
Yeah.
think that, I could be the person to take this to a really large stake, but I don't think I am the person who could make this as large as it probably could be. I think there's a lot of people who have been in the industry for a really long time who can make this impact spread a lot farther than I can as a singular person. Maybe if I hire more people and I really put boots on the ground everywhere in the country, then I may have a better attempt at making this thing go everywhere. But I do truly believe in the impact of it. And I really truly believe if there's somebody who can make an even larger impact with their boots on the ground, that it would be worth its money and tenfold. To me,
Right.
that's the most important part is making impact. Again, you can tell throughout this podcast, me and my dad are a little bit of tree huggers. That's why we started the company, and I think that's why
Mhm.
we've been successful. Is because we've really focused on the end mission of clean water. But I really do think that if the impact could be taken tenfold by somebody who has way more boots on the ground than I could, then I absolutely would because of the impact.
Awesome. Well, hey, I want to thank both of you guys for taking the time today. Navy, I'm going to have all your contact information will be linked in the show notes for anybody that wants to reach out, or you can also go to kaiponosolutions.com. I am not going to spell that. It'll be in the show notes. KaiPono solutions.com.
Great. Thank you
Go
so
check
much,
them out.
Ty.
And yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely, and, I look forward to you guys making some noise, and, I think we're gonna try to get out to Casca this year, so if we do, I'll shoot you an email, let you know we're coming out that way, but,
Absolutely, you
and
should.
then, if you guys are looking for shows to go to, we know a lot of them. Feel free to reach out. We're
Yeah,
happy to help in that aspect,
let's
but
get in
thank you
touch
so
about it
much
for sure.
for your time today, y'all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.